But the coin that I added to the portfolio today is called vEmpire.
And they are the largest decentralized metaverse investment organization in the world.
Hello everybody, and what a lovely day it is. Let you kick off, and I'll do some button tapping in the background. You know what comes after Roby and Qcoin? When Binance. Hello everybody, I seem to have some problems with the speaker, so I'm just amending my settings. There we go. Am I back? I think so. Looks like it. Right, so we have TMG with us again today. Want to get some analysis from him on Bitcoin and the macro environment. Also interested to ask him about NFTs, because I haven't seen him post about them too much, so interested on his take on them. He has pre-warned that his internet is a tad dodgy. He's got the builders in, so if he cuts out at any point, that will be why. That, or I've asked him something he definitely doesn't want to talk about. So let's bring on Jordan.
You all right?
There we go. Instant. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I'm keen to hear about your take on the market and how you've been doing, because I know Twitter doesn't tell everything or every trade. Is it as bad as it seems?
No, it's not. I mean, Twitter is this cesspit right now of people that are following the 1 minute chart and not looking at the bigger picture. I was on a phone call this morning with Crypto Rover for a solid hour, and we were just discussing with each other the way that we trade is we're trading on much higher time frames with much lower leverage. And I get the feeling that everyone is out there with like 15, 20x leverage on their accounts, and every like 3% move, oh my God, you're such an idiot. I think it's insanity. I think what has happened over the course of the past kind of 3 to 4 months is everyone's Twitters have grown quite significantly, and Twitter has become a very major platform for crypto. And I think that's invited a lot of inexperience into the markets, and inexperience of course gets frustrated when it's not going in their direction. And then at the same time as that, you have other influencers trying to capitalize on the growth of other influencers. So you see accounts with like 100,000 subscribers attacking accounts like mine with 360,000, because of course they know that some people out there are not going to be particularly happy with what's been going on in the markets, and so let's blame this guy. And that's essentially what has been going on, I'd say, on Twitter for the past, let's say, month or so now. It bothers me because it concerns me that people are not actually bothered about the fundamentals of any project anymore. And everybody just seems to put everything down to TA and not take into account any fundamentals. Well, the fundamentals for Bitcoin right now say buy the sodding dip. It doesn't matter if their Bitcoin went down 50% from here, I would still be saying this same thing, which is buy. And I'll be saying buy throughout that whole crash down, because say Bitcoin hits 20K, it'll bounce straight back up. It would be very much like a flash crash type thing, because there's so much buying pressure down there. It's insane. And so from my perspective, buying at a level where it's stable, yeah, it could go down again, but like imagine, so Bitcoin crashed down from 20K to 6K, stayed at 6K for like 6 months back in 2018. And if you'd have bought at 6K and then it crashed down to 3K, you look like an idiot for about 2 months, and then you look like a genius. So that's what I would say to people is have a little bit of patience with the market. So you completely like impatient and more like, why don't you understand Bitcoin is in a place where volumes have dropped? That makes it so that individuals can influence the market more. So say you have an individual that's worth 100 million, they can put 10 million into a leverage account on 10x leverage and move the market, because the order book is a bit thinner than it used to be. So you're ending up with a lot more like of these BART candles. Is what happened in the bear market of 2018. That's where the BART kind of first came about, was whales that made a lot of money push the market the direction of which they're leveraged to. So I think that is how it's happening right now. I think that it's chopping up everybody, and I think that there's nobody actually predicting every single move correctly in the market. But what I would like to say is those people like myself, like a lot of other big profiles on Twitter that aren't just out there attacking people all the time, made all of their money from being good traders and making good investments. And that is a skill. That is not something that you just forget. It's not something that you suddenly become bad at. It's just there are certain periods of time in any market where everybody gets squeezed, and I think that is one of the times right now. Like everybody is being squeezed.
Yeah, well, we had it as well. I can't remember who it was, but some influencer like shared a screenshot of us reaching out to them as like a bad thing. It's like, oh my god, what a protocol is talking to influencers and trying to speak to influencers. It's like, what are you proving by that? Like, people want to use you for your job, like, but it's demonstrated as such a bad thing. Yeah, I know. I mean, I was a derivatives trader in the past myself, not crypto, but on indexes. And just like what you said about when we do drop to 20K, it's like when we hit 24, it's just a scam wick, and then instant orders fill and it bounces up 1,000 instantly. And when you have an order set at 24, it bounces up to 25. You can take profit. The move's been 20 seconds. And obviously you didn't tweet 24, 25, literally at the speed of light. So yeah, people just get aggressive.
They get very aggressive. On the topic of like influencers and altcoin projects, my advice to all altcoin projects is reach out to influencers. Try and get people interested in your project now, because now everyone's projects are a lot smaller than what they were. And that is giving audiences a really good opportunity to capitalize on that. So you look at like Matic. Matic reached out to me back in 2018 when the price was 1 cent. Was it shilling? Was it bad? Everybody made about 264x if they invested in Matic when I first was reached out to by Matic and started understanding what Matic was. And then I made a big investment myself into Matic. They never paid me. I invested directly into Matic, and it was a very, very successful investment. I talked about it on the channel. And back then, attitudes were a little bit different. They were more so like everyone was wanting to find the next big thing to invest in. Whereas right now it's very confusing because you present any new good opportunity to people and they're like, scam, shill, idiot, moron. It's like, guys, you're passing up on some of the best opportunities of your life to become insanely rich over the course of the next few years, just because you've been reading some negative influencer on Twitter that just wants to take everybody down. And now in bear markets, those accounts do really well. Look at my accounts from 2017 to 2018. I used to make that scam exposing content. And the reason I used to do it was because it was amazing for engagement. You managed to get a lot of hate onto the people that you were directing hate towards, and that crushed their businesses. And so you took out the people that you didn't want, and then you replaced yourself in their place. In a way that you basically took their audience, and that's what Twitter is. Twitter is very much dog eat dog. It's very capitalistic, and these people that are trying to take down the other like existing influencer accounts with track records and histories, a lot of these accounts only popped up in the past year or so, and it's just because that is the narrative that people are enjoying the most right now, is being negative. Whereas I would say, look, if you're being positive in this market right now and you're seeing the upside, you're going to do a lot better than those people that are just sat there complaining on the internet all the time about, oh, I've lost so much money. Oh, my life's terrible. Oh, my wife's divorcing me. And all this nonsense that, 95% of the time it's not true. They just make it up anyway. It's probably just children commenting. Point is, like, I've fallen out with Twitter these past few days just because I think that it's beyond a certain point, it's insulting, because a lot of us did very, very well and are experienced traders. And just because I say I'm bullish does not mean that I'm bullish and I expect Bitcoin's price is going to shoot up to 40K tomorrow. I'm not an idiot. I might be bullish, but I'm not an idiot. I'm bullish because I see the long-term potential of Bitcoin. I'm very certain that Bitcoin hits $100,000. So it comes down to, again, the argument of 20K to 6K. Was it a good time to buy? At first, no. But within a few months, yeah. I think the same applies here. I think buying at $30,000, even if we drop down to 20, is still a good buy. Because do you realistically think Bitcoin is going to be under $100,000 by the time of the next halving in 2 years' time? No. Bitcoin is going to be well above $100,000 by the time of the next halving. So, yeah, it's just short-term mentality, people that have not been around that long being negative on the internet, but that's why we're here, to start fighting.
You sound, I swear, every time we get you on here, you're going to sound less and less enthusiastic when you say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can't remember where I saw it, but somebody posted, and I think it was like, apart from ETH, Bitcoin, and wrapped ETH and Bitcoin, I think it was that all other top 20 cryptocurrencies were down, apart from like 4 or something like that. So we're down over 80 to 90%. But we get the exact same thing. We get people posting our charts saying slow rug, it's down X percentage from all-time high, or it's every single token. Like even like if you look at, well, ETH is down what, like 60+%, Bitcoin 60%. But it seems that just everything is a slow rug now. But that just means price has gone down.
Because it comes from a fundamental misunderstanding from people, because they don't understand what they're investing into and they don't understand how liquidity works. It doesn't make sense from an altcoin project's perspective to keep 20 million in liquidity in a liquidity pool just for people to cash out into. It makes more sense to take some of that liquidity back and then wait for the market to come back and then put that liquidity back in, because otherwise you're just providing people with excess amounts of liquidity to cash out into, which will in turn, the long-term damage to the project would much further outweigh the damage caused by, well, just taking some liquidity away for a while. And I think that the projects that have left the liquidity in the system are the ones that will suffer the most, because they don't have as much money to spend next time round on marketing, on growing the protocol, on terms of building and stuff like that. And the ones that hold back funds and manage the businesses correctly are the ones that will pop off next time round. I think the altcoin space is really interesting right now because it's very toxic. And yeah, people call everything a slow rug, but at the same time, that just comes from, again, a complete lack of understanding of how cryptocurrencies work, because people don't understand that these are liquidity-based systems. You might have a market cap of 100 billion, but if you've only got 20 million in liquidity, your project's only worth 20 million. Like, literally how liquidity works. If more people deposit liquidity, your project becomes more valuable. And yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I think obviously there are a lot of scams out there. I've probably been scammed over the past 2 years, maybe 100+ times on investments that I've made, in terms of projects not doing what they say they're going to do and taking the liquidity away. It does happen. But I would say more so 75% of projects out there are trying to do their best to honor their original promises. And you've got to look at which ones have got money, which ones have got runtime, and which ones can really last the longest. And I think that DAOs, to be honest, DAOs should do some of the biggest ROIs in the next bull run, just because it depends how the DAO is structured. But if you've got like a DAO based on acquiring altcoins, kind of like Colt's going to bang next bull market. In theory, like of course, everything is nice in theory, but they're all experiments as well. Like, this is all a very experimental space. There's no guarantees. That's why the FCA, when you see advertisements about cryptocurrency by the FCA, they go, don't do it, because it can go wrong. And so the FCA is covering their bottoms by saying, just don't do it. Yeah, that's my point on that.
Yeah, I mean, even saying that, you've got people who are following your channel and following you and listening to our conversations, even though they're evidently giving you grief. As in, I can see that a couple of things coming through here, and there we've got a few people talking about cult in the comments after the mentioning of that as well, which obviously is like a foghorn. As soon as you mention it, you get swarmed. I actually saw, in fact, I was speaking of influencers, there was somebody, I say influencer, somebody who had like, 4,000 or so Twitter followers, and he posted about the cult bots on his posts, obviously just thinking that there's no way that these people can actually be like this quick and this like hard shillers. And he kept on just saying, like, watch out for this, they employ bots. And they just all literally swarmed in, which then he said, see, there's no way that they would have come this quickly unless they were using bots. But it literally just caused a swarm. And then everyone just stopped applying to the guy because he just kept on flooding. But speaking on the liquidity point, that is a very good shout. I mean, we're for example, our liquidity pot at one stage was like 16 million, but ours is completely locked for a year, so we haven't been able to sort of access that tool. We need to relock half of it, but we want to make sure that we're spreading the liquidity across different chains, because at the moment we've got I think sort of only a couple of 100,000 in BSC compared to about 2.6 million in ETH, and considering our market cap at present is like 7 million, 2.5 million is huge to have in sort of one place. But I mean, it means that we can take huge buys. We've had buys of 1 million before. We were much higher up then, but we just chewed them up. But I think we definitely got the cult bots in force. David Gockstein called them bots. But I mean, I agree. I guess obviously talking about liquidity locks, Colt's got 265 years, but it's like been painting a bull flag for ages. Like the actual chart is just a screaming flag. It's been holding this like triangle for ages. I think it broke out of it recently, but as soon as some volume comes back into the market, or I always say with any type of marketing, whether it's influencers, whether it's just getting comments on Twitter, you never know what will be the spark that can change like the market in an instant. You get stuff all the time, like for example, I think it was the UK saying that they were going to be sort of collateralizing and paying back like stablecoin defaults. Something like that can occasionally completely spark a massive bull run. But it's strange how the market just takes some stuff that you'd think is more impactful than others. So I always see marketing as just like trying to light a fire, but you never know, what's going to take. It can come from absolutely anywhere.
For me, I think the next kind of bullish period for cryptocurrency, in all seriousness, will come when all of these gaming protocols start launching their games. And I think a lot of that is due for kind of September, October this year, which probably means in crypto years, December. Because, so basically, back end of this year, don't really matter to me what state the traditional economy is in. Just like a traditional economy falling down the toilet during lockdown, but Bitcoin has never had a better period in its entire life. Like, it doesn't really matter what's going on in the traditional world, especially if you have like high rates of unemployment. You have a lot of people going online searching for additional sources of revenue, and that a recession could actually be pretty beneficial for the cryptocurrency space, because you find that more people leave jobs in traditional industry and then find jobs in crypto. So as far as I'm concerned, I think that the market where it is right now is obviously not in the best place. But look at first time round when Bitcoin hit that $28,000 level, and everybody was expecting it to go down to 20k. Everyone was expecting it to go down to 10k, and it didn't. It just went back up again. And I think we'll probably see something similar this time around. However, I expect it to drag out a little bit longer, with maybe one or two stabby candles to the downside at some point. But I think that any kind of significant selling pressure would be bought up, unless like the news was really, really bad news that it came out on. Of course, the market tends to react very badly to bad news when the prices are already down. But it creates opportunity. I don't understand why people are not connecting with the fact that they all, during the bull run, everyone was asking, how did you do it? How did you do it? Well, I did it, and a lot of other people did it from sticking around when everything was going terribly. That's all you have to do, is like stick it out, wait, be patient, be nice, think positive, and look for opportunity. An opportunity will find itself. Volunteer for cryptocurrency projects. Like, a lot of people out there would quite happily take on any volunteers, and you could probably even secure yourself some element of tokens as compensation for that if you're a really good volunteer. I think that there are a lot of projects out there that consider stuff like that, because they want to see this through, and the more people that can get involved helping, the faster and more efficient they'll be at achieving their goals. And everyone said the same thing about altcoins back last time round during the bear market. They said bunch of scams, bunch of this, bunch of that. And then 18 months later, everyone's throwing millions of dollars at it again. So, like, the people's memories are very short. it's a strange world that we live in.
Is there any particular games that you're looking at in terms of later on in the year that you mentioned? Is there anything that sort of strikes? Because I know everyone always says Axie, but we used to have an Axie staking pool, but we've actually had to close that because it just wasn't worth the inflation of, obviously, you got to send the VEMP to it in order to pay the yield, and the returns just from SLP going to like 0.5%. It just didn't make sense anymore. But we are always looking for more, and we've been in fact taking the time to buy some NFTs. But I'll let you answer the actual question. Is there any games that you're involved with looking at towards the end of this year?
Yes, so things like Axie Infinity, I think, are not so interesting. I'm looking at games that could actually gain adoption, not because they're profitable to play, but because they're fun to play. Axie Infinity, if you ever sat down and play it, if the audience watching has ever sat down and actually played Axie Infinity, it's shit. Shouldn't say that word, but it's not a good game. It's not a fun game. It's a game that you use to make money, and the amount of money that you can make from it has gone down. So I think that in terms of games that I'm actually looking at, I'm invested in a lot of different games. I would say that Cross the Ages is one that I'm excited for, but they've not launched their product yet. But that's all. They've not launched their coin or anything like that yet. It's not really out yet, but I think they're waiting to launch the product first. So they're going product first, token second, which is generally the best way around of doing it when it comes to gaming. Because then you actually add utility to something rather than having something with zero utility and then waiting for the utility to arrive. Everyone goes, "Oh, I don't know why my coin's gone down. I've not added any utility to it in months." Morons. Anyway, the other one would be one that I invested on that's on Cardano. What's it called? It's not Domi Online, although I did invest in Domi Online and that looks pretty cool.
I'm trying to think. I might know it. Is it like
Cornucopias?
What's it called?
Cornucopias.
Yeah, I think Kyle is in that.
Yes, so Kyle invested in that one. It's run by a guy called Robert Grieg. I first met him at City AM, which is the newspaper for Central London that I sometimes write for. They were doing a meetup, and he was also invited to this meetup because he's friends with the guy that runs City AM. And he explained to me then and there that he was inventing this thing. I was like, "Oh, that sounds like an amazing idea. When can I invest?" And then I invested really late. But to be honest, it's still doing pretty well. Is that project? And I really do think that for the long term, it will. I think that people misunderstood the metaverse play. That's what I'd like to say. I think that people misunderstood the way that the metaverses are probably going to work. I imagine metaverses. You're going to have some metaverses whereby they are like you imagine the metaverse to be. You log on with your VR headset and you go around within this world. But I think that the majority of metaverses are just going to end up as open world games with assets that you can purchase and play on. But because you can make money from playing the open world game, it becomes like a full-time job at the same time. And you get to choose the life that you want to lead. And I think that in the future, this is going to become more and more common as an income stream for people. I just think that a lot of people don't see that right now because they've not witnessed a lot of new people in the market that have not witnessed the growth of this industry between now and even 3 years ago. And if you look at it between now and 6 years ago, this is what we're doing right now is insane. This was unimaginable. Like, I remember selling a bunch of Bitcoin at $9,000 to buy my car. And when I did that, I was thinking, I'm cashing out at the top here. This is so good. I can't imagine it's going to go any higher. And then it just kept going up and up and up, and adoption really kicked back in. So I think at the point where Bitcoin is starting to loop itself back around again, you're going to see a lot of people selling off. You'll probably see a flash crash in the markets, but that'll be the last and only opportunity to buy. Having said that, I still think we're probably 3 to 6 months away from really bottoming out. I do think we'll see some bounces on the way down, though. And that's what I'm kind of expecting right now.
Yeah, I think my take has always been that we still need. I thought we had it with Luna, but then now I'm not so sure. I think that at the moment, Bitcoin and thus ETH are behaving like risk-on assets, as if they are growth stocks, like the Nasdaq, like tech, like Apple, Facebook, Amazon, etc., Netflix. And so they are affected when sentiment changes and when you have a swing to value, which is why the Nasdaq drops more than the S&P 500, and why commodities start to outperform. At the moment, there was always the idea that Bitcoin was a inflation hedge, which I still believe will come true. But at the moment, it isn't being treated like digital gold. It's being treated like risk-on assets, whereas eventually in the future, it will become the same as like a commodity. That's probably what it has the most similar features to, limited supply, scarce resource, like gold, diamonds, sapphires, etc. But at the moment, it's being seen as a risk-on asset, and it's just retail panic. And yeah, it's a brilliant time to load up for the long term because, like I said, we haven't bought too many tokens, but past 2 days I've been on a NFT buying spree. Today, I'm not sure if it will let me share my screen. Let's see if I've got this set up. No, I've lost permission. Damn. Well, some of the NFTs I bought: Pudgy Penguins, Lazy Lions, but bought and had a bid accepted on the 4th rarest crypto dick butt today. As in, they are super, super rare. It was listed for 6.9. I put a bid in for 3 ETH, and obviously the person who owned it must have needed some liquidity because they accepted it. And it's, the 4th. There's 14 which are joint number 1 rarest, and then there's 3 which are 10 trait crypto dick butts, and ours is one of the 3. So there's a lot of people who are desperate for liquidity. So when you are in these conditions with NFTs, especially, you can put sometimes ridiculously cheeky bids in that usually they would never even look at. But occasionally you find somebody who sees the bid and thinks, do I bother to wait and see if someone will match it, or do I? Because they want to buy stuff as well. Everyone is looking for certain markets. But yeah, what I said at the beginning, you might have heard. Are you into NFTs? Do you buy and sell like, blue chips or?
I decided to do different things. So when everyone started buying digital artwork, I just started buying physical artwork because I thought I thought it seemed like a more sensible thing to do. And so far, so good. Like, I'm right. Like, my paintings have not dropped in price. They're all up, but they go up steadily, the paintings, whereas NFTs go whoop-pow, whoop-pow, whoop-pow. Do I trade NFTs? I have actually never made a profit on an NFT. I hold some like really good ones. Like I hold some club NFTs for like I generally only buy ones with utility. I used to hold 7 Bored Apes. I sold them all for 10k each on the way up, and that was a big mistake because even now I'd have a lot more money than
and you'd have all the ape coin.
yeah, exactly. But I know I cashed out on all those pretty early on. Didn't see the utility. Never really liked any of the picture stuff. Don't fully understand it. I look at people making money from it, like the people that track other like famous wallets and see what they're buying and then just copy and buy the same thing. And I understand why they're doing it. And I still see a lot of people making a lot of money just flipping NFTs. But for me, I prefer altcoins. I always prefer altcoins. I think that with an altcoin, I like the idea of building economies, private economies rather than public economies, but also privatized economies that are decentralized. So, like an individual, I mean, like vEmpire. vEmpire is a privatized, decentralized economy. It's an ecosystem that you're building, and for me, it's far more interesting than a picture of a dog or something like that. I just prefer
put it like that.
Yeah.
But
Like,
so you don't see the utility in crypto dick butts?
I get why people buy them. every single NFT investment I have made, bar not like all of them, every single one of them has been a loss. And I have probably spent about 250,000 in total on NFTs, apart from the apes and apart from Pudgy Penguins, but I sold those a long time ago. I had apes, Pudgy Penguins, and I can't remember what the other ones were. No, I don't know. Just stick with those two. But yeah, had those, sold them, lost money ever since. Cool Cats, that's what it was. I had Cool Cats and I had OX Cool Cats. The OX ones were the pixelated ones. And I invested. The Cool Cats did pretty well, but I didn't have that many of them. And then the pixelated versions of them came out, and I bought loads of those for like half an Ethereum each, when Ethereum was like $4,000. And every single one of them is now worth like literally nothing. So what I quickly discovered with NFTs is a huge flaw. There's no liquidity. That's why that market is just so like insane. There isn't like a pool that you can drop your NFT into and just sell it automatically for the floor price. If there was, NFTs would be a much more appealing prospect. There is no order book. And because there is no order book, it's quite a scary market for me. Whereas with altcoins, you always at least know that you've got someone else to sell to, which is providing liquidity. I think if NFT projects actually put market making on their NFTs, I think that NFTs as a whole become more successful because there will be liquidity and certain prices which you buy and sell at. So
yeah, but then NFT companies would have to actually buy their NFTs. They'd rather get other people to do it. I mean, I learned myself. There was a period in time where you could mint any new project and you could flip it for 5x. That was like a period of maybe like a month where we tried to vEmpire, where we chased those, and it was very profitable for a while. But now you go into a new project, 99.9% will fail. Now we focus on just the blue chips, because right now the reason why we're sweeping up, Lazy Lions, Cool Cats, we put some bids on, Pudgy Penguins, we bought 2 the other day. People are taking bargains, even though ether's dropped, obviously. So anything that's priced, the floor's dropped, plus ether's dropped, and therefore, you're picking stuff up that had, back at all-time high. If the floor was like 4 times what it is, then that's like 8x. And there's a lot of people desperate for liquidity, and there isn't the market making. So you naturally offer them the order book by putting in a bid way under. Yeah. And yeah, it can be very profitable, but God, is it time consuming?
That's the other reason as well. I don't have time for this nonsense. It's just, who has time to sit around all day and just put loads of, because the other thing is you need WETH, don't you? Not just ETH. Yeah. And I hate having wrapped ETH. Because it's such a pain. Like, I kind of just bid in ETH or some USDC or some, just even Bitcoin, for example. It'll all be easier than using wrapped Ethereum. I just don't like this whole system. I understand why it exists, but for me, no, it's too time consuming, and they're just pictures. I get the ape stuff, but I also fear to some extent that it becomes a bit like BitConnect in a way that we bully ourselves for it for like the next few years and say, wasn't that a crazy time? I don't know.
I mean, I'm with you that it's very hard to stand out in the current market. And that's because like people saw that for a period of time, you could just list 10,000 different pictures and people would pay tons for them. But that time is definitely over. But there's still new people coming into this who don't realize that time is over. Now, I think, it's like how this market is great on multiple levels. Even though everything's going down, people hate you, they're angry, they're just generally not decent. There is still very, very good potential to those who are sticking it out, those who do have capital still to deploy, and those who do have common sense, because you can take advantage of everyone else's absolute non-common sense, absolute like nonsensical behavior. and whether that is sniping NFTs for less than half of their value, or whether that's buying the bags of someone because everyone is getting called a slow rug scam coin just for being down. But the opportunity is, it's like you said, tomorrow's millionaires are the ones who are coming in, to come into the market new from never knowing about crypto and doing well on some stocks and then going, I've got X thousands to just put in and get involved for the first time. But that's the thing, nobody wants to get involved. It's like the that meme where you've got everyone queuing up for Bitcoin at 69k, but then you've got Bitcoin at 28 and nobody cares. But yeah, once you've been through the rings once and you've been through at least one cycle, you become almost impervious. But yeah, it's definitely a case of following those who have been around the block, because there's plenty of new people. And yeah, there's a lot of pump and dumps at the moment, because it's why if you look on Dex tools, apart from the big communities, like Cult always trending on there, you do have just these ones that literally it's some sort of Inu or some sort of Doge where people literally send it 10x from launch and then it just goes to dust, and it's rinse and repeat. And obviously there's people behind these who are the ones sort of sharing it. They get the buyers in, they cash out, and then obviously it goes on. But when people aren't making money in sensible ways, they start to become more desperate in their attempts. So yeah, it's definitely worth following those who've been in the game for a long time.
I would, on top of your point there, I would say it's worthwhile in these times here, rather than focusing on learning money, focus on increasing your own personal value by learning a skill, whether that be trading, whether that be understanding the NFT market better than anyone else. If you narrow in on one specific thing, you become the best at it if you do it over and over and over again for a long time. And so that's what a lot of people did last bear market, and that's why you saw, at the start of this bull market that we just had, people becoming millionaires in the space of 2 months. They were previously poor, but because they educated themselves so well, they understood the topic so well, they knew exactly what to do, when to do it, and when to make the right move. And for me, I'm doing a similar thing right now. I'm resharpening my trading skills. I'm trying to get better, and I've not really educated myself for a long time on trading, just because I have understood it and I've always made a lot of money doing it. But I would say the past 2 months, I've been chopped up quite heavily by this market. And being chopped up by the market, it's important to. I think I just became a bit of a crap trader actually in the bull market. It was pretty easy to make money then. You just 10x long every week. Bang. It was really easy. But then when the prices, of course, start coming down again, it's easy because you can predict direction. But then when you have no direction like we have now, it's just chop, 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 chop. And that forces people into the high leverage because you want to catch it and make sure you make money. But you find that a lot of people, they'll make a little bit of money and then lose all of their money because they're trading on too high leverage. And so for me, it's reinstating that discipline, building up a fund again. And then, I mean, so far, this past month, I know that people think it's been going badly for me, but in terms of percentage, because I get told, no, stop talking about how much money you've got. So in terms of percentage, I think it's inspiration. I think it's fun. Bearing in mind, I come from a family that's got no money. My dad is perfectly normal. My mom, perfectly normal people, don't earn a lot of money. And I started with £700. I think it's fun to talk about money. I just speak about it because it's exciting. It's fun. I don't really care. I don't spend a lot of money. I just enjoy having it. Point is, anyway, the past month or so, my trading account is up about 2.5x. And that is just from low leverage, consistent, buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here. And there's a guy that's tracking my trades on Twitter. And he says that this month I've made 1 out of 5 correct trades. But my trading account really significantly disagrees with that, because they don't take in the people that are very heavily critical online. They're out there to present a narrative. They're not out there to present an honest narrative. They're out there to present a narrative that best benefits them. And that narrative always for followers is being negative right now. That's what's selling. And in my particular case here, it's been really good month of trading. I think I've been chopped up once, but most things have gone pretty well. And it's literally just from setting an entry, a stop loss, and a take profit. And I just press go. I've done my analysis. I press go. It either hits my take profit or it hits my stop loss. And I tend to do it so that it's a 1% loss up to about a 10% gain. And because I'm using 3x leverage, it basically means I'm wrong or I'm right. And so this and the accuracy on these short-term trades has been pretty good, but trying to take a longer-term trade, trying to stay in something for more than 6 to 12 hours has become undoable in this. It's just been insane. Like anybody trying to trade on a higher time frame, but with any amount of leverage is getting chopped up and destroyed right now in the market.
Yeah.
So I said stick to 3x or less, but don't be scared of leverage. I get this other thing as well. People going, "Oh, leverage is evil. Leverage causes people to lose." No, people cause people to lose all of their money by investing in the wrong things with far too much money that they don't and shouldn't be using for this particular purpose. And then when they lose a bunch, they put a bunch more in, and they're all panicked and they go again. And this is how you destroy your life. This is not leverage trading. This is just called being a gambling addict. That's literally what it is. And because the exchanges, including Binance, don't put any procedure in to stop you from doing that, it will continue to happen. Leverage is not evil. People are evil. Leverage is the exact same thing that people take out a mortgage for your house. That's leverage. When you take out a loan for anything, that's leverage. You're leveraging your credit score to get a loan so that now you have more money to try and achieve something better. It frustrates me. Leverage is not evil. Leverage is your friend. Just use it well. Don't abuse it.
Yeah. Well, I think on the topic of leverage and exchanges, it's why, for example, obviously, I think we've spoken about this before about market making. I mentioned obviously do it for my own token. I also do some of the market making for Cult because obviously I have my own MMs because I have my own token. And a lot of people ask, why are you sending tokens and accepting tokens from Cult to put on exchanges, make them buy their own liquidity, which they do because I think that they're on like 10 or 11 exchanges, and I've doing the market making on about 3 of them. But what people don't realize is that if you allow them to buy their own liquidity, then they make the market, and that means they decide what price and how deep that wick goes, because you're playing poker with an open hand. You've got an order book where the exchange can see where everybody's stop loss is, where everybody's take profit is, what the price is that people are buying. And you can see that literally, if they control the liquidity, then they decide how deep that wick goes. And that wick will go right down to take everybody out, and it will go straight back up after everyone's liquidated. And that's because since they provide and buy the liquidity, they decide how deep everything goes when it hits there. Or if people have got take profits, let's say that people have like shorts on from 40K, it will get to like 39,980 drop because they know exactly where people have their limits, because you're playing poker with an open hand. So people like to think that, oh, it must be a good thing for exchanges to always buy from the market. In reality, this isn't necessarily true, especially with big exchanges, because if you do have so many people, it's only the users who are going to get wrecked because you're allowing somebody to have such an advantage over you, because you are just playing a game against the exchange when you are sort of using this.
I say this on a very regular basis. It's not the influencers you need to be worried about. It's the exchanges. They keep low profiles. They don't tell you what they're doing, and they're the ones that cause all of the trouble for coins. From my perspective, and having worked with a lot of coins, like consulting and stuff, it's always the exchange that's messing around. It's never like people. It's always the exchange. Exchange just makes loads of fake coins and then dumps them, or they put real coins in and then dumps them. But whatever it is, the exchange is the one that's, especially I'd say with Chinese exchanges, and one particular one, I don't know if you're listed on them or not, but MXC, really don't like them. They have such a bad history of pumping, dumping, then repumping, then redumping, and then just you can find some amazing projects that list on there. But if that is their first listing, dead on arrival, because they just break coins and they just dump into order books and destroy them. And I've seen it so many times. And my first experience of this was in 2019 with a coin that I was working with. And then they got so heavily dumped on by the exchange. They charged them £500,000 for listing, and then they dumped on them like all of the. So they paid half in tokens and half in USD, and then they dumped all of the tokens on the market on listing, just crushing the order book, pushing the price down to so they pumped it up like 10x, and then just dropped all the coins on it. Like in one, and it was just the most dumb thing I've ever seen. If at least if you're going to exit that amount of money into a market, do it slowly. An exchange has market making capabilities. It's not difficult for them. They just do it because they're like, that's literally that's what exchanges are doing, and people just don't see it. They're blind, but it's because they're new to the market and they don't understand.
Trust me. In fact, every single person that I've employed who works with vEmpire, the one thing they always say that they had no idea of and they were so shocked with is dealing with exchanges and dealing with sort of what that nobody realizes. Everyone thinks when listing, almost every single exchange, like every exchange bar like Coinbase, FTX, Binance, KuCoin, OKX, will have a negative price impact because of the exact thing that you said. Almost certainly, the marketing tokens, I don't know if where they end up, but certainly it's almost always exchange gets announced, price goes up, they make the money because the marketing tokens have gone up in value, sell them, drops it back down. They then buy lower to give the same amount of token to keep the spread. There you go. 250k listing fee is now worth 350. But you see it time and time again. But people are always saying when listing. And most of the time, unless you are going top tier, you're shooting yourself in the foot by going. But the thing is, this is the racket we're in. You can't go from nothing to Binance. You have to go up the ladder. You have to climb. You have to start with maybe XT, BitTrue, MEXC. Then you go up to Gate. Then you got like KuCoin, Huobi. Then you got FTX, Binance. But you can't go from a XT to a Binance. You have to fill in and go up, which means that unfortunately this is a racket that we're in. People don't realize it. They just think that it's as easy as listing. And also, what a lot of people don't realize, the reason why, for example, Colt, when it had that parabolic run, it got listed on like 11, 12 exchanges in about 2 days. The reason why is that exchanges are like retail. They FOMO in at the top and they get scared at the bottom. They just behave exactly the same, and they're all waiting for hype. But what they don't realize is if they just listed at the bottom, they would start the hype, but they don't. They wait for something else and something else. And then when it's already the top of the market, that's when the listings happen. That's why you see it drop back down. But yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like exchange could literally start another bull run, but like Binance could start another bull run, but just by listing like 100 coins in the next 100 days, every day make a new listing, create some hype, get some new users on board, and then suddenly the market would return, the liquidity would return, regardless of market conditions. But they won't do that. I don't fully understand why. I have always wondered as to, because I've dealt with so many exchanges, and you will have as well. They're horrible to deal with. And they're strict, but not for like, oh, we need to be regulatory compliant strict. They're strict because they want to make as much money as possible. And like this, they like, we want to make at least $500,000 out of this deal. Oh, guys, come on, don't be ridiculous. It's a bear market. And, I just get frustrated in general exchanges. I think that they're the biggest. It's why I'm so keen that everybody uses decentralized exchanges. They're the best because you don't have this nonsense. You have liquidity pools. It's far safer than having some private company providing an order book and choosing where the price ends up, because you don't actually see with decentralized exchanges, you get to see everybody's wallet, you get to see who's selling, you get to see the quantity they're selling, and you get to see the frequency that they're selling. On a closed order book on a centralized exchange, you don't get to see any of this data. So you're trading a lot more blind. And all you see is like a volume candle, and that you don't see which specific account is doing it. Because I bet if you looked at which specific account is doing it on half of these exchanges, same account.
The exchange.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know a lot of this stuff happens in the background. You don't realize it until you're going. But yeah, I mean, that's why Cult is so good, is in the fact everyone's obviously, as you can imagine, people want exchanges. And I've, bear in mind, VEMP, we're listed on KuCoin, Huobi, Gate, MEXC, BitTrue, BitGet, like all of these we're listed on. So obviously I've introduced Cult to the contacts I have, because obviously I've used them before. Some of them are good contacts who I get on well with. Some of them are just exchanges who I just happen to know. But I'm in all these chats with Cult and KuCoin, OKX, Huobi. And it's all the case of just when, like, again, they are waiting for, they are retail. They are waiting to FOMO in, but right now. But yeah, it can happen at any minute, to be honest. Like, all the chats are active. They're talking to every single one. It's just the case of when the exchanges.
Well, Cult also has the problem, don't they, of the 0.4% that comes out of supply every time there is a transaction sent to and from. And I believe that a lot of the exchanges actually, despite having many millions of dollars, don't have the capability to implement this procedure into their system, which means that then you can explain that bit.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's only one of those, only one of the three between OKX, KuCoin, and Huobi who do not yet have the technology, and the one that doesn't yet have the technology is building it. The benefit is obviously that it's not like one of these, like Saitama has like 10% tax. Obviously, an exchange is going to see that, and if they can't whitelist their wallet with 10%, they're not interested. Because what they don't want is ownership over the contract, so that the owner can do whatever they want, because it means that they can rug or whatever. But they also don't want to not be able to be whitelisted. So Cult is good in the fact that the taxation is tiny. It's 0.4, which means that exchanges can just reflect it on the withdrawal fee. They just need to make sure that it covers 0.4 in, 0.4 out. So that's like Gate, for example. Because, yeah, the contracts that have announced, so all the exchanges that have currently listed them, they either have the tech or just charge the additional amount. So I think at the moment there's only one exchange that's sort of holding it back for that. The rest, are waiting to FOMO in at the top. But yeah, I mean, it will happen, because they're ready. They're just waiting, which is why it's important for communities to be active. We had this previously where you get into a negative reinforcement cycle. We had our token was dropping like everything in the bear market, and people would go into the chat and they'd say, when exchange, alongside tons of other FUD. And it's like, exchanges come into your chats, they see what the hype is in the community, and they also look at who's commenting, who's doing this. So that's what Cult has going for it, is that everyone is so positive. They need to keep up and making themselves visible to these exchanges, because it took us hitting like a bottom, and then basically all of the old angry bought at the top community left. A new community took over, who obviously are a lot more positive because they got a good price, and then lo and behold, we listed on KuCoin and Huobi. But it's very much a case of community hype and keeping positivity. So I'd very much say that to Cult community in the comments, is that, yeah, you need to engage with these exchanges because they are looking for A, volume, and B, new accounts, new users. But yeah, let's see what questions we do have. We've definitely had plenty of comments. So anyone who has commented higher up, if we can't see, do repost. Also, take a minute to subscribe to both our channel, vEmpire, and also that Martini Guy. We've got one person who mentioned, and I have actually seen this before, DEX leverage trading is coming. I remember seeing that somewhere. Do you know of anyone off the top of your head? Because I remember seeing or being approached for something like that.
Yeah, I'm invested in like 6 different leverage trading dexes. I think that when they will only get popular when regulation hits, because of course leverage trading on the DEX is going to suck up so much gas fees, and people only use this stuff when gas fees are high anyway, because that's when there's a lot of people around. I think that the most successful one that I've seen so far, in terms of the one that I think will do the best, is one called Polysynth that's building on top of Matic. And the reason I said that'll do well is because Matic is microtransactions, very low gas fees, that kind of thing. I'm invested in a few that are built on Ethereum. They're basically unusable because of Ethereum gas fees. When the bull market kicks in, it costs you like $150 to place a trade. It makes no sense. But on the whole, these decentralized derivative exchanges, I think, are going to get big. And actually, there's another one called Apex Token. Apex Token is run by Binance, not Binance, Bybit. Bybit is running Apex, and Apex is basically Bybit's decentralized version of Bybit. But I don't know how open they were about that. But yeah, Apex.
You say it now, don't worry about it.
Apex and Bybit is kind of very similar things, and Apex's market cap, I think, is in the absolute toilet right now. Let's have a look. Where is Apex's market cap? It's got a picture of a monkey. The whole like ape X is in like monkey X. Yeah, no. Market cap in the toilet right now, but not too badly in the toilet. Launched at 20 cents, currently 18 cents, went as high as 40 cents. So it's not really ever done anything.
That's a slow rug. Like everything.
Yeah, please.
If you're on Twitter, give this a share, see if we can get some more sort of questions in.
Don't FOMO by the coin, because I talked about it as well. This is not financial advice. Do your own research. Expect to lose money when investing in cryptocurrency. It is it's pretty much guaranteed. Anyway, moving on
to the downside.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if people do listen to influencers, then yeah, when you're hearing about it, definitely take a minute, see who you're dealing with, and also bear in mind that not every trade is going to be on there. Somebody's asked, what about Curve? And Curve is one of my favorite DeFi protocols because I know one of the core developers, Julian Bootaloop, and his company Stake Capital. They also run SDT, which is Stake DAO token. Mm-hmm. I'm bullish on them. So Curve is one of these amazing protocols that, similar to Cult, has no paid marketing whatsoever. They exist solely just completely decentralized. They are so bullish that Yearn and Convex, both top 100 tokens, are built around Curve, as in they cannot function without it. But yet, because Curve has no marketing, people don't realize. People know Yearn because of Andre and because of like Bantek. But they're all built around Curve, but Curve does not market. Convex, literally CVX Curve is one of their tokens. Again, top 100. Their derivative of Curve, CVX Curve, is a top 100 token. So there's tokens built around the token, which are top 100 tokens, but Curve is like $1-2. Right now, it's been as high as $6. Curve is a genius protocol. I always use their white paper as an example of it is like one to three, maybe less than 5 pages, but it is so complicated that they could have written anything and you wouldn't know. Like the maths on it is mental.
I've always liked Curve. Curve came about you remember when Curve first launched and the price like crashed to 0 or something like that? Something bad happened at first.
Yeah, it was basically one of the developers was getting sick of waiting, and he listed it with no one's permission. So he listed the token way before, and the problem is, it's like with most DeFi protocols. And one thing that I made sure with VEMP, and the fact that you've got inflation because you're sending tokens like from one place to another, from locked to unlocked. I locked our tokens over 21 years, and after year one, like the inflation drops down into single digits. With Curve, the starting inflation was like hundreds of thousands of percent. So I think it listed at like $14, went all the way down to like cents, and it's now back to like up to 6. But yeah, one of the developers basically listed the token and just anti-rugged, because he listed it early and added liquidity early. But yeah, it was like $14 when it first listed.
I remember that. There was a whole saga about it. But for me, Curve is a thing because it was right at the start of DeFi season when everyone was making like, but when Pancake Swap came around, when we had like Hot Dog Swap and all these other nonsense swap websites, and then all of these food related protocols that were all DeFi. That period of time in history, that was so interesting. But that for me, Curve was a bit of a turning point, because when Curve popped off just after YFI, and YFI was, I invested in YFI early. I was very pleased with that one. That was good. But the whole DeFi thing, I miss it. I miss the time in history where people took crypto investing seriously, because now everyone is just like, oh, which picture dog coin can we buy, and what metaverse nonsense can we just invest in next? And really, I think the fun part of crypto has always been the intricate tokenomics that you can, like Cult's interesting because it's well designed. You have a lot of things that people just knock up in their bedroom. It takes 2 days to make it, and then bam, you're multimillionaire. And that's why the bull market had to end, because it was getting stupid. Not allowed to do these things.
You get that. It's the exact same thing like when you had Pancake Swap. It unleashed thousands of shitcoin copies, just food-based swaps. Then it was Shiba Inu, thousands of things ending with Inu, or cousin Doge, sister Doge, like auntie Doge, like any derivative of Doge or Inu you can find. And Cult had the same. Cult has tons of copycats. But again, it just unleashes, when something is clever enough, you do get that. When we first launched back in August, we had people try and do it. Obviously, they all end up rugging or going to dust, because you're basically just copying like a subversion. It's different when you have something like potentially you have like Sushi, which is an improvement on Uniswap. I mean, but still, even then, it's not as big a market cap. But yeah, you do just get this. It goes in trends. By the way, I forgot to mention at the very start, but for VEMP's community watching, we are launching a snapshot. So we are putting the decisions further into the hands of the DAO, and we're going to be launching a stablecoin pool, because obviously of the bear market, and people are heavy stables, may as well get some rewards on those. So the vote currently on is the chain, BSC or ETH, and then after that we will be deciding on which coin, so whether that will be Tether, USDC, BUSD, etc. So we'll be announcing it on our socials. There we go. I just had a notification then that it's gone out as I spoke. So obviously the vEmpire team are listening, so very well done. But yeah, go on. You can vote and have your say, and then yeah, hopefully we can get that developed and out ASAP. Let's see if we've got anything else. Anybody get your final questions in? Random question. Why do you think Sand just listed on Coinbase in the middle of a bear? Do you think it was a mistake? I don't know legitimately.
I like this question. It's from Noah McPherson. It says, "How does Martini Guy consistently get so bearish at bottoms and bullish at tops on Twitter?" And I would like to point out, it's a stupid question, probably asked by quite a stupid person, and it's insulting because you're just reading it wrong. I'm bullish. I've been bullish for a long time. Maintain. Oh, hang on. I maintain being very bullish. I think that it's. I see this market over a 10-year span. I don't see it over a 1-year span. I don't see it on a 6-month time. I don't give a crap. I'm investing in this space because I'm 25 years old, and I expect by the time I'm 35, all of the good decisions that I make at this period of time will make me a very successful person. So that's a stupid question. I'm not bearish at bottoms and bullish at tops. I expect Bitcoin is going to be sideways for a while. And I expect it's going to be choppy for a while. But if I don't quote a time frame on Twitter, then you are guessing the time frame of which I'm either bullish or bearish on. And if I'm not giving an entry or an exit target, all of that interpretation is in your head. So like, it's up to the individual how they interpret things. It's just then the narrative is pushed by other morons on Twitter that then say, "Oh, this guy's an idiot," and then your sheepish brain is following what these guys are saying, and then you're following the same path. So don't be an idiot and understand and interpret things in the way that they're meant to be interpreted. Don't just read what another guy wrote and interpret it in his way, because a lot of hate out there right now. If you're contributing to it, you're a dick.
Fair enough, and agreed. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that people don't realize is that you do, and even we will, average into trades as and when they go up, because a good token and a token you believe is going to go up, that belief doesn't change if it keeps dropping. The decision in the here and now is, do I like this at 20 cents? Yes, I do. Do I like this at 15 cents? Oh, yeah, I really like that at 15. Do I like that at 10? If you believe in the long-term vision, and if you are following trades in a bear market and you don't know when the person's closing them, then yeah, you'll see like 9 out of 10 positions offside, but you won't talk about it when it goes back up to 40 and 10 out of 10 are onside, will you? So yeah, people just need to be sensible.
I think it's crazy. Like, I've been saying on Twitter for a long time, I've been long since 28K, and like it's a nice amount of profit is that right now, and everyone's going, "Why are you such an idiot?" I go, "Look, if it breaks below $28,500, I'll go short. But until that point in time, I'm not shorting Bitcoin in this market. I'm just looking for longs, because why would I want to contribute to the downfall of the asset that I'm most invested in? Are you moronic? Like, a lot of you guys out there are still waiting to make it. I've made it. And so in my position, I don't want to be going short with loads of money, because I'll just crush the value of everything else that I've got. It doesn't help the industry having there shouldn't really be a short button. I kind of fundamentally disagree with it. I will join in because I refuse to lose money at the expense of everyone else being annoying. But that's what I consider short positions being. They're just annoying. And so, do I like to advertise short positions? No, because I feel like it damages the market overall to go out there on Twitter with 360,000 people going,
Damn, I think we finally lost him.
because you're gonna.
Oh no, there we are. You're back.
Is he dropped out? There we go.
I think you're back.
And watching and paying attention to what you're doing. Like, if they all join in and go short at the same time because I saw a tweet, this is going to damage the market. And we used to see it and the reason I'm very careful about it is because Carl the Moon, he used to make tweets like short Bitcoin. And when he'd make that tweet, you could literally watch Bitcoin's price go down afterwards, because there'd be like 200, 300,000 people seeing this tweet and then all going short at the same time with like $10,000. But that crushes the order book within a short period of time. And so I'm very careful about shorting Bitcoin. I'm not as careful about longing Bitcoin, because I fundamentally believe as long as you're not over leveraged, you should be making money. Like, you're just impatient. If you're not making money, it's because you're impatient and you're using too much leverage. Everyone else is kind of doing fine right now. It's infuriating. Twitter has really wound me up this past week, just because it's just full of people that have been around for 10 seconds and think they know everything. But like, guys, I've been here since 2013. Like, I've seen this go up and down a lot of times. I understand what I'm doing. Like, so will Dom. Dom's been around a long time. there's no need to spread hate. It doesn't add anything. And if you think it'll bring the bull market back, then you're wrong. Like spreading positivity, helping people out, that's what brings bull markets back. That's why I did so well and everyone else did so well coming out of the previous bull market, because we stuck around and we helped businesses grow. And it's people like that that'll do well this next time round, and negative people will stay poor. So enjoy it, guys.
Exactly. Some words of wisdom. Your internet is
Crappy
very...
sometimes. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there is very much what people don't realize is that at the end of the day, you know, so many people who will just comment. And one thing I always say is I think the person has got bored now anyway, which they do. But there was somebody who would set up a new account every single day just to call like VEMP scam and like call me shit. And where were you when you wanted to pump your own bags? But yet, as soon as it goes against you, you have the effort to set up a new Twitter account every time it gets taken down for 2 months straight. It's like, where does it come from? But yeah,
just channel that hatefulness that you have and put it into something productive. And there are people that I've known, trolls of mine, that I got them on a phone call, had a conversation with them, and said, "Look, guys, you can continue doing this. I'm not really that bothered if you do, but if you did X, Y, Z instead, and actually, because you've obviously got they have skills. They should, in theory, do quite well if they directed their attention in the right direction and it was positive. And that's what's stopping people becoming successful. Is they're just, I don't know, miserable, horrible people. I don't like them. A lot of people.
I mean, you mentioned it before. That one thing I wanted to touch on as well is if anybody is looking to get experience in crypto and is wanting a volunteer role with the potential of some sort of token benefit at the end of it, then by all means get in touch with vEmpire. We're always looking for odd jobs to be done. There's always so much to do that some of the more simple stuff, which is quite time intensive, but not, labor intensive. You don't need to know the intricacies of the protocol in order to do it, but it gets left on the side by us because we got to focus on the things that are much more technical. So anybody who is trying to get into crypto and wants to, have something on their CV, by all means, get in touch over DM. More than happy to have a chat and see if we got anything for you. But yeah, we're almost coming up to the sort of 75-minute mark. So thanks so much for coming on. Make sure to like and subscribe below. That's both channels, vEmpire DAO and that Martini Guy. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining, Jordan. Lost you at the very end. There we go. The internet like us.
He keeps doing that. Yeah. I just want to ask you, I first got my first kind of teeth wet in crypto in terms of I volunteered for a project called Nulls. And volunteering, I didn't expect anything in return, but it gave me a full understanding. I was involved with the team, I helped them out, and it was all free, but it gave me the education that then I used to become successful in crypto. So I just wanted to add that before my internet cuts out again.
Nice one, thank you. Yeah, everyone get drop us a message in our Telegram or DM me privately. More than happy to see if there's anything that that we can fit you in for. All right, thanks everybody. Speak to you soon. Thanks for joining.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.